Welcome, everyone. I'm Amy Seeley, president of Seeley Test Pros and Leap, helping students to succeed in all kinds of tests from 8th grade to grad school throughout Ohio.
And I'm Mike Bergen, president of Chariot Learning, helping students with test school and life based out of Rochester, New York.
Between the two of us today, we have over 60 years of experience at the highest levels of the test preparation and supplemental education industries.
We both love to talk and learn about the latest issues in education, testing, and admissions. So let's get down to tests and the rest. The awesome sponsor we want to spotlight today is Wise. Let's meet our special guests, Mubin Masoodi and Vic Mann. Welcome.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Amy, for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Mubin, Vic, thanks for joining us. We're really eager to hear about Wise, but first, I'd like to find out, Mubin, what is your role?
I'm one of the founders of Wise. I started Wise in 2020 as a tutor management software. And prior to that, like Mike and Amy, I've been a tutor myself. I've done a lot of tutoring around SAT and ACT exams for over a decade before finally starting Wise.
Well, that's fantastic because there's nothing we love more than speaking to tutors. And Vic, how about you?
So I'm the CEO of Break Debate. I'm also a client of Wise for about a year now. I used to be a tutor for the longest time for specifically speech and debate, but now mostly leadership roles within the business. Yeah.
It's hard in the business. It takes you away from working with the clients, working with the students, growing young minds. Totally get it. We've all been through that. So let's talk about Wise. Mubin, what is the story behind Wise?
So as I said, being a tutor myself, and when I decided to transition from being an in-person tutor to an online tutor, I realized that there are not many options out there which support tutors who want to teach using, Zoom or using live sessions. While there are many solutions which were geared towards self-paced courses or recorded courses, not many which could, simplify teaching online, especially for people who are not as tech savvy. Like I do not come from a tech background. So that is the main reason I started Wise. So I created it for myself and accidentally ended up creating it for all the tutors across the world.
It is amazing, right? When you're in the industry, you understand like some of the needs, or you obviously have some wants based upon like what you want to accomplish. I think it's kind of amazing that when you can create something that you're customizing to your needs, but there are others out there who obviously can benefit from the same things that you needed, right?
Yeah, that's true. Because as I said, I was teaching myself. I was not just, managing my tutoring business. And I realized that when it comes to core teaching aspects, like not just live classes, be it testing, be it giving homework, assignments to the learners, it's very complicated. Like I had to use 4 or 5 different tools. I
Hmm.
was like, there has to be a better way to do this. There's no way I have to use like 5 different sets of tools just to do teaching.
So I've got to hear. So tell us a little bit then, how does Wise work for tutors or tutoring companies?
So think of it like a one-stop solution, starting all the way from enrollment to tutor payouts, the complete journey of a tutoring business. So they can add students there, they can schedule sessions, allow students to schedule sessions for themselves, take those sessions there itself, have access to recording on the platform. Because what I've seen, what tutors would do is they would take a live session somewhere, manually download the recording, then share it with the student, manually track attendance, keep a record of that, and then send invoices. What Wise does is it automates everything so that tutors and even business owners can focus on what matters the most, teaching, improving the quality of the content, whereas Wise does all the manual work.
Now, I want to clarify. Does Wise also provide the video platform, or does Wise hook into Zoom or another existing remote instruction platform?
Wise integrates with Zoom as one of the virtual classroom software, but our integration is very unique. That's one of our USPs. Because typically when softwares integrate with Zoom, you have to buy your own Zoom licenses, manually provide user ID passwords to all your tutors. Here we take care of everything. It's more centralized. So what that means is you can control all the Zoom settings and provide a very uniform and a consistent experience to all your students.
It sounds like you you found a way to eliminate some of the most egregious pain points of using Zoom for remote instruction.
What's funny that you mentioned the idea of taking the recording and downloading. And I remember early in COVID, doing just that. And it was so time consuming, right? Like after the session to have to do that became like so much extra work. So it sounds like you've kind of figured out or tried to minimize or reduce the amount of time, like you said, spent doing that sort of background work, but actually being able to concentrate or focus on the actual service being delivered.
Exactly. And not only that, when you share a recording directly with the student manually, you share a link. There's also a risk of, that link being shared forward. So we also plugged in security features so that only those students who are supposed to see that recording, only they get to see it. And it can also be prevented from being downloaded. They can just see it on the platform, but not download it.
That's interesting because I've thought about that as well. We as tutors, right? When you do a session and you are sharing information, like where does it end up if there's a recording out there? So that's
Yeah,
interesting.
the
So there's some
Mobeen is way
privacy
ahead
or
of you,
sort of,
Amy. You just thought about it.
he
He's
is way
almost
ahead
there.
of me. So in terms of who's using Wise, tell us more about kind of who's currently using Wise.
Like two things about that. Since we do not provide educators or we do not really provide content, so the use case, so we're very agnostic to who's using. But then again, given my background as a tutor, most of our clients are actually tutoring businesses. They could be solo tutors or they could be, a team of 5, 10, 20 tutors. And it could be test prep or it could be high impact tutoring or tutoring for, K10, K8 levels. So primarily tutors and like a small team of tutors would be using it to manage their operations.
Now, I understand we have a user with us today. Vic, please elaborate on what your practice is and how you use Wise.
So I think to start off, just a little bit of background. Break was dealing with a lot of issues as an online business, especially in terms of scheduling and transparency. After COVID, I think there was a huge explosion of kind of online schooling and tutoring. And I think that poses some risks like transparency, like what are happening on a lot of these, like, let's say one-on-one sessions, or even these group classes, assuming there's multiple happening at the same time, which I obviously can't show up all to, right? Um, so dealing with that as well as scheduling conflicts, we were using Google Sheets and that was, eventually getting unworkable as you hire more people and you have more clients. And so Wise has just automated all of that for us. It's streamlined our scheduling processes. It has automated and tracked all of everybody's individual conflicts between instructors and also the students, which makes my job a lot easier. And as well as having a lot of data analytics, which is really helpful as well in terms of tracking billable hours or ensuring instructors are actually showing up to their sessions and kind of keeping accountability with everybody, without having me go in and kind of check everything.
Fantastic. Mabine, is there anything you want to add to that, or can you expand on the kinds of outcomes users experience? I hear that definitely Wise provides a greater quality of life, maybe
Yeah.
greater efficiency. How else can you describe the benefits of implementing Wise?
I think it starts with, of course, improving the experience and the efficiency. I think in terms of processes, what it does is it provides us far superior experience to the learners. Like recording being available is just one of the things. For example, another thing that we have is we also provide like a branded mobile app. So if Break Debate would have the option to have like a branded iOS app or an Android app by the name of Break Debate, and students could, access content on the go. So what that has eventually led to is better retention because as students or in some if the students are young, families also see the kind of services this tutoring business is providing. It's not just the live sessions, so that leads to better retention and better revenue, like probably Vic can share on that on the better revenue part.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I definitely can speak to that. I mean, uh, before Wise, it was really hard to cross maybe like more than 10 to 20 students without all of our operations kind of grinding to a halt. But now, with Wise, it's like a seamless onboarding process with instructors and students constantly registration and like everything is completely streamlined. I mean, we suddenly went from like, a $70,000 business to making nearly 500,000 per year to almost 1 million. So, and it's been quite easy, honestly.
Well, I think what you're speaking to, which is so important, is as a tutoring business grows, right? Your systems and operations that you might employ in the beginning just cease to be as efficient or as effective. And so, if anybody is really looking to grow their tutoring company, being able to use a platform like this is going to hopefully make that growth more seamless for owner tutors as well as clients, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Just to add to that, like we talked about, as the business grows, I think it's most of the successful, clients that we have right now, a lot of them started, when they were just individual tutors. Because it's also when you're an individual tutor, right, you're doing everything. You're managing your business, you're also teaching, and you can't afford to hire people. I'll talk about a specific feature. Like one of our specific features is AI-driven student performance reports. Now, if you are an independent tutor, even if you are teaching like 10 or 20, 10 students, it's not possible for you to generate beautiful reports at the end of every month for each and every student, right? So this platform would help you in doing that. So even if you're a single tutor and you cannot afford to have multiple people working for you, you cannot afford to have an admin team, the platform doubles up as your admin team. It can send summaries, it can send reminders to parents, hey, your fees is due. It can auto charge the client if needed. So even when you are a single tutor, the platform adds significant value because it acts like your team. And of course, when you are a multi-tutor setup, then as Vic said, it's just impossible to manage operations and scale.
What you're mentioning is something that's been a huge realization for me and like the growth of my tutoring company is I wish I would have started the company with a much grander vision for growth so that like you implement a system in the beginning that obviously is going to almost like a balloon. It fills as like it can fill and knows what to do as you get bigger, which of course, like when you start a company and it's just you yourself, all of a sudden you kind of get stuck in something because you haven't had that vision and employed these sort of platforms or systems.
Yeah. It's sad to say, knowing as many tutors as we know, a lot of
Right.
tutors, a lot of educators like to learn the hard way. They
We
will
do. We do.
bootstrap it
We
well
teach
beyond
ourselves
by
our own
Victor
lessons.
shaking your
Yeah.
head too,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah. Ironically, tutors believe in self-study. Yeah.
We do, no, we that's a dilemma in the industry is that we do teach a lot and we think,
Yeah.
oh, we'll teach ourselves how to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is sort of one area I'm like, nope, we should not any of us venture there.
Yeah, I've done the same, like guilty as charged, right? In the beginning.
Yeah.
Like that's what led to Wise because I was also like, there's no way this is the best way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So this is fantastic. What else should someone curious about Wise know about it?
I'll say something like which I tell everyone, when I talk about Wise, every tutor I tell them, right, there are many options out there, right? We do not claim to be the only option. But one thing that is unique about Wise is that we are an online first platform. So when we started for people who are primarily teaching online and maybe teaching in person as well. So the primary focus is online tutoring, whereas most of the other options that exist, because they were started prior to COVID, they were started in 2010s, somewhere around that time. They are in person first, they are admin first. So the UI is not that modern, it's difficult to use. So when you see Wise, if you sign up on Wise and see it for yourself, you will realize it is very easy to use because the tutor and the learner are at the center of it. Admin is behind the scene, is managing operations. So that is one thing that is unique about Wise. It's an online first platform. Can support your in-person tutoring as well, but the primary focus is online tutoring.
Fantastic. I think that we could probably talk about Wise all day. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Mubin, Vic, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
If listeners would like to learn more about Wise, where can they go?
I think the best starting place would be our website, which is wicewise.live live. You can go to the website and go through all the features. There's also like a book a demo or schedule a call button there, and you could just schedule a guided demo or a guided tour of Wise for yourself.
Awesome. We hope you enjoyed this discussion as much as we did. Be sure to join us for another fascinating topic and guest on the next Tests and the Rest.
Did you enjoy this episode as much as we did? Find expanded links and more for this and all of our episodes at our show page at testsandtherest.com. While you're there, be sure to explore everything the larger TestBright site has to offer, including real, expert, unbiased answers to the toughest admissions testing questions. Of course, we'd love for you to rate, review, and subscribe to Tests and the Rest on your favorite podcast platform. If there's a topic or guest you'd like us to feature, just let us know and spread the word.